The US President Joe Biden has announced sweeping vaccine mandates across the United States. And because he is considered the leader of the free world, many others will follow. If you look at where he takes his instructions from, our President Cyril Ramaphosa will not be far behind. And I will be covering two articles, the one covering Joe Biden's blatant disregard for freedom, and then how universities in South Africa are considering vaccine mandates. And once again, this is not about vaccines. This is about freedom of choice. The whole concept of other people allowing you to make decisions for yourselves. And the fact that we take risks every single day when we get into motor cars, and they are not mandating many things that could happen in a motor car and in many other risks that we take on a daily basis. And that many things are warped in society and are actually things that need to be considered from a simplistic point of view. The practicality of what people are doing. And at the end of the day, when you look at the whole big picture, you will see that something is very, very wrong. And if you have not made that decision yet, you are living in a bubble, and maybe that bubble will be burst for you when every single freedom that you can conceivably think of and cherish will be removed from you. And in the first article, and this is in The Guardian, where Joe Biden says, have at it. Joe Biden dares vaccine mandate opponents to take him on. So he doesn't feel anything for them. He's telling them that he's sick and tired of the fact that anti-vaxxers and people that are vaccine hesitant, that they can just get along without being forced to be vaccinated. He's decided, I'm going to mandate vaccines, and I'm going to mandate that in the workplace and many other places, and fine employees that don't do this. So partisan pushback comes as CDC releases study finding those who were not fully vaccinated recently were 11 times more likely to die of COVID. Now, they are now telling you that you don't have a right to die, and they will force something on you. This is basically what is happening here, and that you are not allowed to take that risk. This is what it boils down to. And at the end of the day, this is a political decision. It has nothing to do with anything but politics. Joe Biden is the president of America, and he was elected in a process with electronic voting machines. Remember that one, please. Joe Biden has dared political opponents plotting legal challenges to his large-scale workforce vaccine mandates to have at it, as one Republican governor promised to fight the White House to the gates of hell over the new coronavirus rules. A growing number of senior Republicans, including U.S. senators, state governors, and leading party officials, announced on Friday they would support or pursue legal avenues to try to block the president's edict. Those are things that kings used to put out. In an address at the White House on Thursday, Biden said his new orders would affect 100 million workers and help turn the tide of COVID-19 in the U.S. Now, I just want to mention here that the United States has had most of its adult population, or a majority of its adult population, vaccinated, and 100 million is still a large percentage of people. The thing that's emboldening is the fact that the majority of people in the US support vaccinations on both sides of the political realm. In South Africa, this is not the case. In South Africa, the majority of people do not want to be vaccinated and has not gone for vaccinations. And this is a huge problem the government sit with, and with election season coming up, Cyril Ramaphosa is now literally asking the large corporations to do his dirty work for him in mandating vaccines. And this is what he's hoping for. He's had meetings with him behind the scenes that you, the public, do not see. Among the most vocal was South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, who in a tweet painted the tussle over compulsory vaccination as a battle for personal freedoms. And I quote, "Rest assured, we will fight them to the gates of hell to protect the liberty and livelihood of every South Carolinian," he wrote. But on Friday, Biden did not appear to be flummoxed by the promised largely partisan resistance to his administration's new workplace requirements. The new rules are part of his six-pronged strategy to tackle the Delta variant fueled resurgence of the pandemic. Have at it, he said during a morning visit to a middle school in Washington on Friday, when a reporter asked for his response to Republicans threatening lawsuits. We're playing for real here. This isn't a game, and I don't know of any scientist out there in this field that doesn't think it makes considerable sense to do the 6 things I've suggested, the president said. A scientist, Joe Biden, is not a politician, because a politician should consider people's rights and the constitution by which they are supposed to govern. Referring to Republicans such as Florida's Ron DeSantis, currently embroiled in a lengthy legal fight over the right to ban mask mandates in schools, Biden added, "I am so disappointed that particularly some Republican governors have been so cavalier with the health of these kids, so cavalier with the health of the communities." Now, this means that Biden's made up his mind, and he doesn't care about other people that have not made up their minds or have made up their minds in an opposing view. Opposing views, obviously, to Joe Biden means nothing, that the people have a right to that view. And in future, this is not about vaccines, people, at all. The people that confuse that, you're going to have a tough problem in future when you're not allowed to go to church. In Canada, where they're burning down churches right now, saying that people that believe in God are prehistoric and needs to be eradicated from the planet. You need to think about things like that, because this will spill over to many other places. And remember that the whole global warming threat is bringing to you climate lockdowns. Don't forget that. Republicans began seething over the new regulations almost as soon as the president finished delivering his remarks on Thursday afternoon, with some calling vaccine mandate on private businesses with more than 100 workers unconstitutional. So all businesses with 100 workers or more are forced by Biden's decree to vaccinate all their staff, to mandate vaccination. So he's making decisions for business. This is unprecedented. These are things that happen in wartime. And during wartime, a lot more people have been killed in the fight for freedom than Joe Biden can ever comprehend or even count. And I quote, "This is exactly the kind of big government overreach we have tried so hard to prevent in Arizona." This is what Arizona Republican Governor Doug Ducey says. Now the Biden-Harris administration is hammering down on private businesses and individual freedoms in an unprecedented and dangerous way. Ducey said in a tweet, "This will never stand up in court," he added. "The vaccine is and should be a choice. We must and will push back." And the interesting thing is, across the political spectrum in America, there's people that actually understand freedom, that are pro-vaccines, that say that other people should have a right to choose. And Ben Shapiro is one of these people. He's pro-vaccine. He has been vaccinated himself, but he believes that other people should have a right to make a choice for themselves, and it's absolutely a personal thing. The moment that politics overrides into that sphere, you get dictatorship, and this is exactly what is happening right now. I'm not going to go through the rest of this article, which is quite lengthy. The link will be in the description below this video, as well as in the first comment. I want to go over to News 24 now, where a headline said, "COVID-19 universities ponder implementing mandatory vaccinations at campuses." This is back at home. This is South Africa. And the sub-headlines read, "Institutions of higher learning could introduce mandatory COVID-19 testing. This would serve as an incentive to encourage vaccination among students." So what they are saying is make it uncomfortable for them. Let them get tested every single week so they get sick and tired of it and decide to just get vaccinated. This is the kind of mentality that we are at right now. The moment you start pushing that mentality on people in the history of the world, war started. So I'm asking myself, what is it these people want that are doing this? Do they want a war? Let's just call it what it is. This would serve as an incentive to encourage vaccination among students. Other incentive programs are also being considered. I wonder what they are. While institutions of higher learning debate mandatory vaccination, university and college students could be required to produce a negative COVID-19 test before attending in-person classes, Higher Health has said. They're not doing this for tuberculosis or many other things, people. You need to really start looking at what is not being done to actually see the problem with what is happening now. Like I say, this is not about vaccines. This is about logic and reason. And if you remove the COVID-19 madness and debates and everything else that's happening in the world, and you just look at the logic behind what people are doing, we should have been wearing masks for a gazillion other diseases, threats, etc. There's millions of people dying around the world every year from so many things unrelated to COVID-19. So should we now introduce, but this doesn't serve the elites, of course, introduce stopping eating certain foods because you might get cancer? I mean, are we going to ban sugar next? What are we going to do? You have to ask larger questions. And the thing is, the mainstream media is driving what people accept. If the mainstream media tomorrow tells you that a massive meteorite is going to hit the earth and everyone should dig into the ground, are you going to start digging? What are you going to do? And this is the question that people need to ask themselves. I like logic and reason. I like facts. And I believe in liberty first before I believe in anything else. I will give people my opinion, but I encourage people not to believe what I say, but to do their own research, make up their own minds, and then live with the consequences of freedom and liberty. Something we still have in South Africa. We are the freest country on the planet at the moment. Even with all these mandates they are bringing in, millions of South Africans don't even know about vaccines or could care less. Thank you very much. Till the next video.